Tonight on KGW News, after 100 days in the hospital, an Oregon man wishes he hadn't learned the hard way how serious COVID can be.
What freedom do you have in the grave besides to be worm food?
Plus, replacing plastic with straw? A Northwest company is taking the waste from area farms and creating all kinds of products. But first, a new Portland store is hit by thieves before they can even open for business.
I think people should just realize what they're messing up as far as someone with a family. And
Your news starts now.
Thank you for joining us here at 11. I'm Laurel Porter. That Portland business was supposed to have its grand opening this weekend, but not now, since thieves took off with thousands in electronics and merchandise. Alma McCarty spoke with the co-owner of Drip.
On West Burnside Street in downtown Portland,
the whole time, this is what we've been worried about. Like, literally the whole time.
a broken window is now patched up after an early morning break-in on the corner of Southwest 9th Avenue.
It was a bad one. Yeah, this is a bad one. I got a text message from one of my partners, and it had a picture of the window just hanging out.
Co-owner Reginald Parham didn't even have the chance to fully open his retail store, Drip, before thieves got in. The grand opening was set for Saturday.
The TV was back here, more clothes and stuff is back here. There's clothes over here in boxes and all there, and then the cash register was right there.
He estimates the value of the stolen merch and electronics to be thousands.
You know, we're a black-owned business. We're just trying to get it started. You got to think, this is our clothing brand that we came up with and, went around the city doing pop-ups and all that, and enough to the point where people are buying enough that we can get a store.
After 3.5 years of selling chocolate dope apparel around Portland, Parham says it was time for a permanent home.
It's just downtown, being downtown, and you're not prepared. This is what happens.
Despite the burglary, he tells me he wouldn't change locations.
The city's making a comeback, especially right now. That's why we're down here.
He and his team hope Portland police can identify a suspect.
So you would think somebody's seen something.
Surveillance video from a neighboring business doesn't show much. And unfortunately, Parham says their camera system isn't online yet. But he sees this broken glass, this boarded up window, as just another roadblock, a small setback on the road to success.
It's always been roadblocks. You gotta think, I came out here, I'm not from Portland originally, so the roadblocks that I was in front of, it's a lot of dope brands out here, a lot of dope people, and so just to work hard enough to even get to the level I'm at was so it takes a lot to stop me from doing what I'm doing anyway.
Portland police are not releasing much information about this burglary. Meantime, Parham told me he'd ideally like more security in the area to keep an eye out when he can't be there. The grand opening won't be this weekend. It's now pushed back to early December.
Let's hope a lot of people support them when they do open. Thank you, Alma. Tonight, we now know the name of the man who police believe was murdered in the Centennial neighborhood Sunday night. Portland police have identified him as 34-year-old George Edward Rowe IV. He also went by the name Taylor Rowe. Police say they found Rowe dead in the middle of Southeast 148th Avenue, and at first believed he was hit and killed by a vehicle before realizing he was actually shot. Anyone with information is asked to contact Portland police. Now let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. FedEx is looking to hire more than 300 workers for a new sorting facility in North Portland. It's planned for this site on Northeast Columbia and MLK Boulevard. This comes as the company's Portland hub in Troutdale is still short-staffed, leading to long delivery delays for some customers. Former New York Times columnist Nick Kristof is leading the pack of gubernatorial candidates as far as fundraising goes. He's raised more than $1 million in less than a month. That includes significant out-of-state donors like Melinda French Gates and the Angelina Jolie Family Trust. The campaign also says it has more than 2,500 Oregon contributors from every county in the state except Sherman. Today, Pfizer asked the FDA to authorize its booster for everyone 18 and older. A decision from the FDA is now expected in the coming weeks. Pfizer's booster is currently authorized for those 65 and older, people living in long-term care facilities, or people 18 and older who have a high risk from COVID due to a medical condition or their job. An Oregon man is alive and home tonight after more than 100 days in the hospital battling COVID. He admits he initially didn't believe COVID was a big deal and was not vaccinated. But as Galen Etlin reports, he now wants his story to help us all get out of this pandemic.
Fighting COVID-19, Howard Breidenbach was kept alive on these machines. He knows he beat the odds.
30% survival rate. And I survived.
In July, he was taken from his hometown of Myrtle Creek, south of Roseburg, to the University of Washington Medical Center in Seattle.
But I thought I was dead.
For about 3 weeks, he was barely conscious.
I couldn't even remember my birthday. Couldn't remember my name.
His growing trucking business,
We were going to retire in 5.5 years.
had to shut down.
And I lost everything.
He admits he did not take COVID seriously.
This was a conspiracy. It's just a flu. They're overinflating.
He refused vaccination.
And they offered me that shot. This all could have been avoided.
You're going home?
After 102 days in the hospital, and thanks to staff, he feels this is a second chance to share his story with others who are skeptical of COVID and the vaccine.
I agree with them. They should have their choice. But at the same time, what freedom do you have in the grave besides to be worm food?
He's now back home in Myrtle Creek with his wife, Tanya.
Man, that COVID cough, man, it never goes away.
Still on oxygen. Douglas County, where he lives, is about 56% vaccinated compared to 80% in Multnomah.
What is the response in your community to your story?
The reaction I really don't care about. It's that they heard the message and at least they'd consider it.
He hopes people can step back from politics.
Right and left, red and blue. We're still all neighbors.
To keep everyone healthy.
Howard is now fully vaccinated and hopes others see it's safer than running the risk he did before. Portland Public Schools has a new plan for giving students the COVID vaccine. Shots will be offered at some schools for 5 to 11-year-olds. It's part of a pilot program at 8 schools with students who may have trouble accessing vaccines. The first clinic is scheduled for 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. It's specifically for students who go to Fabian, a pre-K through 8th grade school in Northeast Portland.
Yeah, we're really trying to dedicate these initial clinics to the students at that school and their family members. And we're doing that intentionally to make sure that students who face some of our higher barriers have access to vaccines. We're really trying to be equity focused here.
More than 60 families have registered. You can also walk up. A parent or guardian will need to be there, though, to sign a consent form. Next week, clinics will be held at other schools. Once the pilot program is finished, the district hopes to expand clinics to even more buildings. If you need help finding a place for your child to get the vaccine, text the word vaccine to this phone number, 503-226-5088. We'll text you back with a link to our article that has a running list of the places where you can book appointments, from pharmacies to county clinics and hospitals. A new report about Oregon jails describes the conditions inside as catastrophic. That's how at least a grand jury sees it, due to a staffing shortage inside Multnomah County jails. A grand jury spent the last several weeks examining the condition and management of the 4 correctional facilities in Multnomah County. A critical staffing shortage was one of the takeaways. This resulted from early retirements and staff burnout, all of it taking quite a toll on morale. The grand jury suggested offering hazard pay and assignment-based bonuses could be a way to improve staffing, maybe even hire back some retirees. Sheriff Mike Reese says the sheriff's office has already ramped up recruitment, hiring, and retention efforts. As we near 2 years since the pandemic started, the need for help paying rent is still extreme. In Clark County, rent assistance programs have distributed almost $30 million to more than 3,700 low-income households. That's since August of 2020. The need has not diminished. In fact, nonprofits distributing the federal money say they're seeing an influx of people needing help now that Washington State's eviction moratorium is over.
After that ended, we absolutely have seen an increase in calls of folks who are wanting updates, wanting to ensure that they have all of the pieces in place.
Last week, A chance for 800 new households to apply for rent assistance filled up in half an hour. There are more opportunities to apply, and we have information about that at KGW.com. The pandemic has made a huge impact on companies, shutting down some for months. But now this facility in the Pacific Northwest is back open. Next, how they hope to make a difference in the environment by replacing plastic products with straw.